All right, folks are going to start coming in. Let's just give it a minute. All right. I think we could go ahead and get started. We have 3:31, and we may have a few more people trickle in, but let's see. With that, hi everyone. My name is Xiomara Cisneros. I am with the Bay Area Council, and I'm also the Casita Coalition Board. And you're here this Friday afternoon to join us for the Casita Coalition Weekly Webinar Series. And we're really excited to hear from two experts in ADUs. We have Lynn Chin from Hello Housing, and she's going to talk a little bit about the one-stop shop model in San Mateo County and more things about ADUs and what they're doing locally and regionally, as well as Rafael Posas, who is the founder of Plus House, and he's going to talk a little bit more about his company and things going on in Orange County. So a little bit of Northern California, Bay Area, as well as Southern California, because the Casita Coalition is a statewide coalition and organization. Just a couple housekeeping items that if you have questions, please go ahead and either raise your hand, put them below in the Q&A, or you can use the chat. There's various different ways so you could participate in this webinar. Oh, we just lost one of our speakers. So hopefully he'll have back in soon. I also wanted to just give thanks to our generous sponsors and premier members. So many thanks to the Chan Zuckerberg Institute, CZI, with their grant. We are going to do some great things with the Casita Coalition, including hiring someone. So keep a lookout for that job announcement soon. And we are also have the generous sponsorship of organizations like the California Community Builders, Greystar Development, AARP, the California Building Industry Association, CBIA, and others. So thank you all very much for your continued support. And of course, the Bay Area Council, long supporters and co-founder of the Casita Coalition. There was an e-blast that went out today, and there was a lot of great information in there, but it was a lot packed in an email. So I did just want to highlight the fact that we are pushing a call to action. Thanks to the leadership of our working group chair, Caleb Smith, we are advocating to have the California Association of Realtors, CAR, add a checkbox to allow ADUs, which will help in potentially providing more consistent valuation for ADUs with appraisers, and therefore potentially provide a new financing mechanism. This has been done before in other parts of the country, and we hope to do that here in California. So please dig into your emails and find that template and submit your letter of support and send that to Caleb Smith and Denise Pinkston. Instructions and more information are included in that e-blast. And I think that's it. There is other great news and information in the e-blast, so please dig into that. So I think now we'll go ahead and get, see, I'm not sure where Rafael is. I think we'll just switch it around and we'll start with, we were going to start with Rafael, but we're going to start with Lynn. And let's have her kick off. She's a special project manager for Hello Housing, and let's learn more about the one-stop shop in San Mateo County.
Thanks, Xiomara. Let's see if I can get this going. Sorry, hold on one second. Let me share my screen.
No worries.
Okay. Okay, can everyone see that? Great. Okay. Well, thanks for having me, everyone. Again, I'm Lynn. I work on special projects at Hello Housing, and I'm happy to be here sharing a very special project, which is Brighten Your Own Backyard. It's our new San Mateo County ADU one-stop shop. And I'm going to start actually by telling you a little bit about Hello Housing. I think a lot of folks who are part of the coalition in the Bay Area are familiar with us, but especially for our friends down south. We are a nonprofit organization. We're based in the Bay Area, and our model is to partner with local government to help them make and maintain housing investments that benefit communities for generations to come. Our specialty is in innovating affordable housing solutions by simplifying complex projects, especially ones that involve a lot of different stakeholders. But that's mostly a fancy way of saying that we're particularly drawn to the sticky wicket, and we really enjoy problem solving. So our focus has been on missing middle housing and really all facets of affordable homeownership. We got our start in 2005 as the master developer of the Bay Area Housing Project. And that was a $100 million public-private partnership that was formed around the closure of a state-run facility called Agnews. And upon closure, all of the developmentally disabled residents of the facility would have been displaced. So the project was to develop scattered site housing, and that's acquisition, rehab, and new construction of over 60 scattered site single family homes across 19 jurisdictions within 2 years. So it was quite a way for our organization to get founded, but that actually gave us some expertise in scattered site AC rehab. So after the foreclosure crisis, we focused on acquiring abandoned and bank-owned properties, doing substantial rehabs, and then being able to turn those for first-time home buyers, including some low and moderate income home buyers. And that kind of got us into the world of affordable homeownership. We've also project managed over 100 home rehab projects, mostly focused on health and safety improvements for low-income homeowners. We're a licensed general contractor, which is important for our project management work. And finally, under Hello Stewardship, which is our flagship program, we work to develop and administer a lot of different types of homeownership programs, especially administration of BMR homeownership portfolios, and the development of down payment assistance programs, again, in partnership with local government. And finally, we administer San Mateo County's ADU Amnesty Loan Program, which was developed as a companion to the county's new ADU Amnesty Program, which was designed to help homeowners get their unpermitted second units up to basic health and safety standards. And actually the program has been really successful so far, and it's finding that a lot of those homeowners are actually getting their those unpermitted units up to full code, which has been great. So speaking of the county, I also wanted to tell you guys a little bit about San Mateo County, again, especially for folks in SoCal. So San Mateo County is the county that's between San Francisco and Santa Clara. And it's mostly smaller cities and towns. So there are 20 municipalities in the county, and of those, only a couple have a population of over 100,000. And in fact, the county overall has less than 1 million people. So when you compare that to, you know, Helen was on last week talking about LA Moss's work in LA County, which has 88 cities and an enormous population, you can tell that this is a really different context. But even though San Mateo County doesn't have a really large city, it's part of Silicon Valley. So it's experienced this enormous jobs growth in the last few years. And in 2015, the county was facing a jobs housing gap of 24-to-1, meaning that from 2010 to 2014, for every new housing unit that was built, there were 24 additional jobs, which put a lot of pressure on the housing market, which was already felt regionally. And it contributed to San Mateo County really being one of the most expensive places to live in the country. So in response to these challenges, the county formed an initiative called Home for All. And the goal of Home for All is to really engage residents and communities across the county in affordable housing solutions. And one of the housing solutions that rose to the top of Home for All's priorities when it was originally founded was ADUs, which makes sense because over 2/3 of San Mateo County's land is preserved for open space and agriculture. And of the developed land, more than 2/3 of the housing stock is single family homes. So you can see why ADUs are a really important way for communities across the county to realize their RHNA goals and be able to create new housing stock to serve all the new folks that are coming in because of the economic boom. So, so one of the first really concrete things that Home for All did was to launch the Second Unit Resources Center, which launched in 2018. And at the end of my presentation, I'll give the URL. I encourage you all to check it out. And the Second Unit Resources Center is an online resource that includes an idea book, a workbook, and importantly, a second unit online calculator that allows homeowners to put in information about their property to get a really high level estimate of what an ADU would cost. And this is an awesome suite of resources. It really moved the needle on helping homeowners kind of figure out what was possible. But even as they launched this incredible suite of resources, Home for All also realized that a lot of homeowners were going to need more personal support. That, you know, do-it-yourself tools just weren't going to get them across the finish line. So enter the partnership with Hello Housing to create a second unit one-stop shop. So our theory of change is that the most intrepid of homeowners are going to use the tools that are offered by the Second Unit Resources Center and other resources that are available to, you know, be able to plan their project and make their ADU dreams a reality. But for the rest of homeowners out there who maybe are more intimidated or have less bandwidth or have less experience with home rehab, they're going to need more than a roadmap. They're also going to need a tour guide. So we decided to launch a one-stop shop with a really simple concept. We'll provide up to 100 hours of free feasibility and project management support to support those homeowners who need more than do-it-yourself tools. So the goals of the pilot are also pretty simple. Number one, test that theory of change, that some people need more help. And if we can offer project management assistance, then we're going to unlock this opportunity for more people. Number two, produce more rental units in the fabric of existing neighborhoods with all of the benefits that we all know that ADUs bring to individual families, both homeowners and renters, and also communities. Three, develop recommendations to increase or streamline second unit production based on lessons learned across multiple permit counters. So I'm going to talk a little more about how we have multiple jurisdictions involved. But developing a learning lab so that we can use this pilot as a way to learn more about where the points of friction are across multiple jurisdictions is definitely an important goal. And finally, establishing a one-stop shop model as a foundation for layering public benefits, such as more affordable rents and financial assistance so that low-income homeowners can afford to build ADUs, but also getting the flywheel going because we think the one-stop shop model is going to be an important way to expand the opportunity of ADUs to a broader range of homeowners across income spectrums and across geographic diversity. So one innovative feature of the pilot that I mentioned before is that it's multi-jurisdictional. So the way we launched it was we got together with the county and together we put out a request for letters of interest to all 20 cities and towns in the county. Each city was asked to contribute $50,000, which was then matched by the county. And each city also had to commit to being part of a collaborative effort to make building ADUs easier by streamlining processes and sharing information and being able to work with us to resolve points of friction. So we're super grateful for our government partners. We're also working with Symbiom, and I know a lot of folks in the coalition are familiar with Symbiom's awesome tools. They have their Build platform, Build Plus, and these are awesome advances in technology that make it easier for homeowners and city planners and building professionals to figure out what's possible both at a parcel level and a community-wide level. But most of all, we're grateful for our homeowner partners because the point of the one-stop shop is we're envisioning homeowners as our partners in increasing housing stock by building ADUs. So speaking of homeowners, we're actually looking for homeowners now. We're accepting applications now at hellobright.org, and I'll show you more about our website. But eligible homeowners are folks who live in our pilot communities. So that's the cities of East Palo Alto, Redwood City, and Pacifica, as well as unincorporated counties. So those are our 4 pilot communities. And because this is a pilot, we're asking that homeowners have access to financial resources for design and construction. We're not actually providing any kind of financial assistance or subsidy to go towards construction. They have to agree to rent the unit for 3 years below a reasonable rent cap. And finally, they have to complete landlord training so that they feel equipped to be a good landlord. And in exchange for signing up for this, every homeowner household is going to get up to 100 hours of free feasibility and project management support to help them get their ADU project across the finish line. So we envision the one-stop shop as offering support to homeowners at different levels, depending on what they need, through the 5 phases of the ADU process. So number 1 being feasibility. We visit the site. Of course, when the shelter-in-place orders are lifted, we'll visit your site. Walk the property with the homeowner, help them understand how the site conditions at their property are going to impact their project, and help them figure out what they can afford based on the resources that they have. Design and cost estimating, we don't actually do the design. Instead, what we do is help the homeowner understand what options are out there. And that could be choosing the right prefab product or helping them choose the right designer and contractor. Since we're a nonprofit and we're a third party, we don't have a conflict of interest and we don't have a profit motive in directing the homeowner to one choice or another. We're only interested in helping them make the choice that's best for them. Permitting, of course, I don't have to explain to anyone why it's a huge get to have someone help you shepherd your project through the permitting process. But as I mentioned, the innovation here is in turning every permit counter into a learning lab. And of course, construction project management. And finally, lease up. So most homeowners haven't been landlords before, and those who have usually haven't lived right next door to their tenants. So we want to make sure that homeowners understand fair housing and landlord-tenant law, but also we want them to feel really equipped to be a good, responsible landlord to their tenant, who's also going to be their neighbor. So I want to tell you a little bit about the website that we've launched in order to offer Brighten Your Own Backyard in its pilot stage. So we've launched a platform called Hello Bright, and the goal is to create a consumer-facing web platform that really engages homeowners as our partners in creating more housing solutions in the Bay Area, especially housing solutions that focus on the missing middle. And a lot of folks on this call are familiar with the concept of missing middle housing, but it's housing that serves folks who don't qualify for traditional sources of subsidized housing, but also can't afford market rate housing. And that includes a lot of our healthcare workers and a lot of our educators. So it's important members of the critical workforce that we need to stay in our communities. So Brighten Your Own Backyard is actually just the first offering on Hello Bright. We hope to roll out additional offerings that build on the concept of the one-stop shop. And for example, that might be offering a menu of right-size incentives that encourage homeowners to add ADUs or JAUs, or to make those ADUs more affordable or more available to specific segments of the population. So I'm going to quickly walk you through the Hello Bright website. So of course, on hellobright.org, you can access our one-stop shop, including applications. We have comprehensive information about how to apply, about what's involved in the program. We have information in multiple languages, and you can complete the application through an online form right here on the web. But we also have a portal for ADU professionals. One of our goals around the Hello Bright platform is to engage and build a network of folks around the state who are working on ADUs, much as the Casita Coalition has done. So if you're an ADU professional, I encourage you to go to hellobright.org, click on ADU professionals in the top navigation bar, and tell us a little bit about yourself and your company. We also have an opportunity for homeowners and other folks who have had direct experience with ADUs to tell us about what their experience was. So to provide feedback on how their project went, whether they have particular concerns around new policies with the statewide changes that have gone into effect January 1st. We do expect there to be some confusion, some friction as the legislation is rolled out at the local level, and we're interested in hearing from homeowners about how that experience is going for them. So next I wanted to talk about COVID-19 impacts. Obviously our program, having launched on February 27th, was hit in terms of the application process really hard by COVID-19 and also the shelter-in-place orders. So a few things that we've done is we've changed our marketing plan. Obviously we're not able to do any outreach that involves in-person interaction that can't respect social distancing rules. So we've moved forward with our partners to do that. We've decided to extend the application deadline. So before, applications were due on May 1st, and we've had to push that out. And finally, we've been reaching out to all of our applicants so far to kind of figure out where they're at. And this is something that I thought we might be able to talk about after the presentations in the Q&A, but I want to share a little bit about what we've been hearing from homeowners who have already applied for the program. Importantly, a lot of folks that we've talked to are in the fortunate position of not having their incomes reduced. That includes a lot of healthcare workers and essential workers. So they're still excited about moving forward with their ADU dreams. And a lot of these applicants have actually reported that the COVID situation has motivated them even more to pursue their ADU plans. So some of the reasons that they've provided include just having more time and attention now that they're home all the time to focus on their living space and prioritize their ADU plans. They've actually kind of been forced to focus in on what their living situation looks like. The economic impact of the pandemic has caused a lot of people to think about the importance of creating a new unit for family or friends. A lot of people are facing potential housing insecurity, and that's contributed to homeowners who are in a position to build new housing to want to be part of that solution. A lot of folks have talked about how their whole family is living on top of each other now, sometimes in limited square footage. Some people are talking about having a long-term insurance plan with rental income that would allow them to weather unexpected economic impacts like the ones we're seeing now. And the last couple things are, one is that a lot of families have talked about concern over aging family members and whether those folks would have to go to nursing homes. And I'm sure a lot of us have been following the really devastating news about what's been happening in institutionalized settings, especially nursing homes. And I think that's caused a lot of families to kind of rethink what their older relatives' future looks like. And they see an ADU as a potential way to bring everyone together. And finally, I think some of the new all-time low interest rates are creating actually more opportunities for certain homeowners to consider cash out refinances as a strategy to help pay for new units, and perhaps in some situations where that wasn't so viable a strategy before. So we're super interested in hearing what other Casita Coalition members have been hearing from their experience on the ground, and maybe we can talk about that later. Finally, we're not deterred. We had to press pause on marketing. Obviously, ADU construction is prohibited under current shelter-in-place orders, but we're going to adapt the way we work with homeowners. We're moving forward with virtual planning sessions and virtual site visits by Google Hangouts, by FaceTime, by Zoom, by any means that homeowners are willing to meet us and show us their property. We're still pressing forward, creating a learning lab in partnership with our local partners. We're excited about the outcome of that. And finally, we're working on unlocking new financing options and public benefits to reach more homeowners and tenants. So for example, we're working with a local credit union, the San Mateo Credit Union, that is in the process of launching a brand new ADU product that allows borrowers to qualify based on expected rents from the completed unit, as well as the as completed value of their property, which is huge. So being able to innovate around their underwriting requirements has really allowed them to open up their lending products to a broader swath of homeowners. So we're excited about working with them on that. Finally, this is information about how you can reach us. I encourage you all to check out hellobright.org, subscribe to our updates, and also check out the Second Unit Resources Center from San Mateo County. Thanks.
Great. Great. Thank you so much, Lynn. Raphael, I see that you're back on again. If you want to go ahead and share your presentation, and then afterwards we'll open up to Q&A for both speakers. And you're on mute right now, Raphael. There you go. Okay, now you are.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. Hi guys. Thank you, Lynn. Thank you, Kiomara. My name is Rafael Pozas. I'm the owner and founder of Plus Home Housing Solutions. We build backyard homes to generate extra income for homeowners with rentals, and also to create family living options. I'm here to share my experience building ADUs in Orange County, and I'll be talking about the permitting process, a few Orange County stats, and some obstacles that we face in one of our projects here in Orange County. And also share my vision about the ADU for the next couple of years. And once again, thank you, and go ahead. Do you want me to share the screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Okay. All right. First, a few stats from Orange County. Yes, it is expensive to buy a house here in Orange County, as most of the cities here in California. And I'll focus our attention to the rent, because the rent is it's the main thing in this ADU business. First, because the homeowners look for extra income through the rentals, and also the renters are getting better accommodations with the ADU. This is the median gross rent here in Orange County. Some locations, of course, are more expensive. And I highlight this because some of people, when starting an ADU project, think that the bigger the unit, the more will be the income. And sometimes it's not true. So before you do the project, my first tip for you here is to make sure how much is the income in the area that are located. And then you can do the project, the size, the number of bedrooms, bathrooms. And I think this is the most important thing to start an ADU project, something that I learned doing it here in Orange County. Also, here in Orange County, there's 3 major universities, UCI, University of Phoenix, and Fullerton. Also, there's Chapman, there's Long Beach that is not in the Orange County, but it's very close. What I'm trying to say that a lot of university very close to one another, and there's a lot of student housing in Orange County. And these students right now are renting rooms and paying in some locations, if it's a walkable place from the university, it's $1,000 a room. And also based on a small research that I did here, some of the students, the millennials, consider the ADUs as a prime accommodation. So I think it's a nice niche to pay attention for the next couple of years. Also, talk about a little bit permitting process. RHNA, Regional Needs Assessment. It's where there's a link here. You can access the link and get information of the housing needs here in California, because the state requires housing from the cities, and most of the cities can meet the numbers that the state require, and this link through this link you can check the number of housing that each city are providing to the state, and if the numbers are not. So if you're an investor and you're planning to do a project and you don't know the city you're looking at, I suggest you to assess this link, because the lower the numbers that the city providing in terms of housing, more likely to be ADU friendly, because the ADU will help them get more housing. So I would say this is I think is important tip for real estate investors. Also, when you go to a permitting process, you have to go to planning and building department. Planning, it's about zoning, and they're going to do a plan check in your project, and then you go to building to see if your project is doable, it's according to the code. And sometimes planning and building are not, there's some conflicts. You have to make sure that you're good to go with planning and building. Also, there's public works. A few weeks ago, I went to one of the city here in Orange County, And I did all the planning check. I went for first questions there, and they gave me all the instructions in the planning department, building department, but then suggest me to go upstairs and check with public works. And I didn't understand why they were saying that, but I did. And what I noticed is there they call sewer deficiency area, which means that the sewer is not in good conditions, and you cannot add ADUs and more houses to those locations. And I checked the map of the city, and it was almost 60% of the city. So I suggest also to check public works, because if there's a sewer deficiency area, you won't be able to build your ADU. I think it's important. Also, I suggest to hire an expert in permitting process, someone that knows how to communicate with the cities, provide all the information need for approvals, and be local government friendly. What I mean with this is that we're all in the same page. The city needs the housing, the homeowner wants the extra income, and and business needs the business. So we're all in the same page, and we have to be nice and make sure that we're all gonna achieve our goals. This is a tool that I was supposed to present you, but I had technical problems here. I'm not sure if they're with Zoom or with the internet here, but this is a restrict area. I created a tool to track the construction process, and some reason I can't access that. I'll try once again, see if it's working. This is our website, and I have here this space called My ADU House. My customers, when buy a house, they get this card with the login password, and can track the construction progress. Let's see if it works now. Let's see here. Okay, let's go ahead and so this is if you want to ask later about this, I'll be happy to show the details and all the progress. Let's talk about the issues we had with one of our projects here in Orange County. It's 485 square feet ADU, one bath, attached ADU, and I highlight a few points that we have to some obstacles that we face and we have to overcome, it took us initially we thought that we could do in 6 months, but end up due to the rainy season and the end of the year with the holidays, it took us 8 months to complete. Here's a few things that I'd like to share with you. First of all, normally when we build an ADU, you use the panel of the existing house and you install a sub panel in a back. What happened in this case is that due to the age of the house and the conditions of the existing panel, we have to install a panel in an ADU and transform the panel of the house in a sub panel. It cost us an extra money because this was an expense that we didn't expect it, but end up doing our electricians suggest that, and was in the end of the day was the best thing to do, and we did it. Also, mini splits versus furnace. I know here in the United States, most of the people likes the furnace comparing with the mini split. But for these small houses, maybe it's not. The furnace needs a big space for the condenser and for all the system. And these mini splits require a smaller condenser. And depending on the project, of course, in this case, we install, because our customer won a furnace, we installed that as you see in the picture. But sometimes mini split could be a better fit for the job. Also, attached versus detached. We did, when you do an attached ADU and we have to connect the new house with the existing and the old house, it's a challenge and was a challenge for us because you have to connect the roof. There's a firewall between the separate one house to another. And also took us time to figure out a few things. But end up, as you see in a picture, from the roof, one roof connecting with the other. Also, an unexpected thing that happened, we saw in most of the house here, I think it is the reality of most of the house here, is the termite problem. And because we're adding new wood, new house in the existing house, we decided to do the fumigation in the whole house. And also was something that we're not prepared to do it, but we did, and also took us time to do it. Other things that I think is important to share with you, vaulted versus coffer. I think when talk about ADU, small projects, the perception of space matters. What I'm trying to say is that a vaulted ceiling, as you see in the picture, gives you the perception that you have more space. Although it's the same square footage, it looks like you're in a bigger place. And it is more expensive, something around 20–25% than a coffer ceiling. But I think it's, depending on, like I said, depending on the area you are, depending on the target market, you're gonna, for who's your renter, I think it's worth to, compare both costs to do it. The results are really good. Also, when you do an attached, especially when you do a detached unit, you don't have to, connect. So you can build the house and do some remodelings in the existing house later. But when you do an attached, you have to, for example, pay the existing house with the ADU because the color and the conditions are different. So, and not only that, there are all other things that you have to fix it. The part of the roof that you are connecting, this house specifically, we have to move 2 windows because we attached the house, and we have to move 2 windows. So there's a few extra expenses that you have to consider in your budget when you build it. And talking about extra expenses, when you estimate and calculate the cost of your project, make sure you include the landscaping and things outdoor, because you start to invest in the project and things starting to go very well, and you wanted to do more because you start to enjoy the project, so you end up spending more money in the project. So try to think about everything. Well, before I finish, I'd like to share what I see for as an opportunity here, not only in Orange County, but all over California with the ADU, is that the way I see it in the past, when the people complain about the lack of land here in California and the cost of the land and the construction. And when I started to work with these ADU projects, I saw an opportunity because there is a lot of land, but the land that the way that California developed the real estate in the 50s and 60s was the big lots and small houses for a different type of user. We call single family a single family, like a couple with 2 or 3 kids, and that's the way it was developed. And today we have new users. We don't have not only the traditional family. We have adult children. We have temporary workers. We have you name it. There's a long list of new users that don't fit with the existing house we have nowadays. We have a lack of inventory because there are more people need housing that we have offer. But the inventory we have, it's that we need to be changed to fit to the needs the new users. And this is a example I want to bring to you. This is a typical house in California, as you see, 1,200 square feet house, 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, kitchen, a lot of walls, garage, and a big backyard, like 7,000, sometimes 8,000 square feet. And this is what we see with this new law, ADU law, and new amendments. And hopefully with the help of the Casita Coalition, that we were able to do all these changes and provide the housing we need. Imagine if we do something like this. You can add more space to your house. You can add a junior ADU, and you can add an ADU in the back. So this is more like a house, and this is the idea that the law wanted us to, pursue. Just an information, I don't know, I'm not sure if you guys know, but there's 350,000 illegal ADUs in Los Angeles. And the reason is that it's because we have this reality, and the law came to help us to fix this and provide more housing to the people. And this is the house look like. We have a lot of this in Orange County cities. Some cities are the lots are bigger. Some cities the lots are smaller. Some cities are more friendly with ADUs. Some cities don't. And like I said, you have to identify where you want to target your investment, if you're a real estate investment, and then you have to find out how to optimize the space and make the more of the property. And this is the example. You still have backyard enough, and you have all this a new setting for the property. And sometimes you can double the income if you change the property the way I've just suggested to you guys. Well, I'm sorry I couldn't show the tool. Maybe it's because there's a lot of people on the internet those days. I'll figure it out, but I'll be happy to do it if you're interested to look at it. And this is our partners that helping us to do what we're doing. And this is my email, and this is the house that I just talked about with you. Thank you so much, and have a great weekend.
Great. Thank you so much, Rafael and Lynn, both of you, for those great presentations. And I couldn't agree more. Really helps to have that in-house expert that could navigate the overwhelming permitting process. It's challenging for developers and experts, so having a homeowner to do it can be daunting. So it's really great to know that there's models like each of yours in the Bay Area. And my first, just quick clarification, Rafael, your business, is it specific to Southern California, Orange County, LA area, or do you work in other parts of California?
No, we're doing Orange County and a few cities north in San Diego and south of Los Angeles. Actually, I'm here where I can be because I like to go on a daily basis to every project. So it's focused on Southern California.
Okay, great. So I think we did have a couple questions coming through the queue, and everyone feel free again to submit your questions through the Q&A, through the chat, or raise your hand. I'm going to go ahead and unmute Cole Peterson, who really doesn't need an introduction if you are a fan of ADUs, you know Cole, but when you do have a question, please just go ahead and just state your name and your affiliation. Cole, you should be unmuted.
Well, I thank you. I will always take the opportunity to say something, but I didn't actually intentionally raise my hand, so I will.
Oh, no worries. Yeah. Okay, so we had a couple of questions related to the development process. Maybe to start with you, Rafael. Komandi here asked a few questions. I think it's related to the height of ADUs. My understanding, I think, with the recent suite of legislations, they could be at least 16 feet. And feel free, of course, Lynn, to jump in as well. I think he wanted clarification on the maximum being set to 25 feet. And also, I think, let's see, the timing, the length of the development process from start to finish, permitting all the way through final inspection and completion. The question was specific to a 2-bedroom unit, but I think it would be of interest for everyone here to know, like for a 1-bedroom. So I think that question could go, I think, to the both of you. But Rafael, why don't you start first?
A project could take up to like 6 to 8 months, I think. 2 months, up to 2 months for permitting, and plus 6 months construction. The season matters because we have a rainy season here, and if you can start a project, for example, and the worst part of this, the foundation, and if you avoid, just thinking with myself, if you avoid the foundation during the rainy season, could be faster. But I'll rather give more time. I know there's some systems that is faster, but I rather give more time and you know, do it in a shorter time than the opposite. What was the other question about the development, the sizes?
Yeah, the height. I think there was a question. I think 25 feet being them.
Yeah, 16. Some cities are 16 feet. What I normally suggest that there's no generic. Although you have the state standards, the cities are dealing with the ADU laws very differently. And what I normally do when I receive a phone call, I ask for the address, the size of the lot, and I go to I check on the internet first, all the cities as the websites with all the zoning information. You can type the address and all the zoning treatment, but then I go to the city and talk with the experts there, and because one thing is the standard, the law for everybody. One thing is they look at your project and they can tell you what you can do. And I wouldn't move forward without having them say to me what I can and I cannot do it in the project. That's what I will do. And based on that, and also based on the rentals that I think is very important, like I said, students, for example, are sharing rooms and they pay $1,000 for a room. So you have to do the math to see how many bedrooms you're gonna add, what type of bedrooms you're gonna add. So if you want to collect as much money you can and income with the property, I will start with a little market research with the rental market, and then I'll go to see if what I need, the type of product I need is doable with the city.
Great. And Komandi, I think you had another question just more broadly related to the type of folks that want to pursue an ADU. If you could unmute yourself, then you could go ahead and pose your question to the speakers.
Oh, yes, thank you. Actually, the question was for Lynn. In which type of neighborhood typically you see more an interest of ADU applications? Are they more in a high affluent, rich neighborhood, or more middle class to lower income neighborhood? Kind of try to get some idea on that.
Great question. So for the applications that we've received so far, and again, we're kind of still in the early stage of our application process because of where COVID-19 hit us. But so far, we're seeing a broad range of households across the income spectrum being interested in building an ADU. I'd say a lot of interest for lower and moderate income households. So like a lot of interest from families that are right around median income, which is pretty high for San Mateo County relative to the rest of the state. But a lot of working families, a lot of folks who are kind of still in the workforce and making a decent income, but not super high income. But it's really across the board in San Mateo County. I mean, the crunch for housing is so great, and the need for innovative housing solutions is so great that kind of like a lot of homeowners are interested, different types of ADUs, of course. We're seeing homeowners who are like, I need to have another unit. It doesn't have to be special. It doesn't have to be gorgeous. I need the additional space, or I need the additional rental income. And then of course, there are plenty of homeowners in the area who want that kind of bespoke, perfect custom ADU with the very upscale finishes. And so there's a lot of, there's a lot of different folks who are interested, including folks on a fixed income. So they're also, I said they're working families, but there also are folks on a fixed income, folks who are interested in downsizing.
Yeah, and there was a similar question related to the users, what you see in the various market of, are these families that are maybe crowded and not having enough space in their home, and they're looking just to have that extra room and living space? Or do you see it more so trying to find that supplemental income? I know, as you mentioned, Lynn, in your presentation, that because of COVID-19, folks are thinking more long-term and maybe wanting to have that insurance policy for maybe the next crisis. But I'm just curious, historically, what you're seeing and what you're seeing now.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say it really varies. I mean, that's one of the reasons a lot of us have come to the Casita Coalition and are such enthusiasts when it comes to ADUs, because ADUs offer such a flexible solution that meets the dynamic needs of so many different households, from family needs to economic needs. So I'd say that, what we've been seeing across the board is people who are motivated by different reasons. I think a lot of those, so far in the context of COVID, a lot of those particular acute motivations have to do with family considerations, like I mentioned, around adult children being home suddenly and wanting to keep elder relatives out of nursing homes. But there's also a lot of concern around community members, right? Folks who don't have an immediate family member that they're trying to take care of, who are seeing the ripple effects economically for a lot of folks in their neighborhoods and communities, and they want to be part of an emerging housing solution that both addresses concerns that existed before, but also seeing how COVID is going to exacerbate some of those housing pressures, and again, wanting to give back and be part of the solution.
Yeah, and I'm hoping to see definitely more of that. I think maybe historically it tends to be for someone you know, relatives, but I do hope more and more we're seeing that homeowners could see themselves as part of the housing solution. And I think that's where your landlord training could really come into play.
We also think it's both. So I think some people who are motivated to build the ADU because they have an immediate family member that they have in mind, that ADU, those needs may change. And so that ADU is still going to be a unit of housing stock that serves the community, even after the immediate need has maybe passed or been changed.
Can I add
exactly.
To what Lynn just said? Also, there's the government just spent $2 trillion in the economy, and we're not sure, of course, right now, but we're not sure the consequences of this in the near future. If it's, let's say, I keep saying that ADU project is a recession-proof project, because if people, for some reason, stop buying homes because they can't afford, they don't want to commit with the mortgage, they still need to live and they're gonna rent it. So if you have this opportunity to start a project, you'll be in a good situation if you have a house to rent as an extra income for those type of situations.
Right. Exactly. We had a question here from Denise, and it was related to the San Mateo County Homes for All larger model. I know there's a second unit center, and it has very great innovative resources and tools. If Denise is ready to ask your question, I know Caleb here is on the webinar. So if you, Denise, want to go ahead and unmute yourself and pose a question, I'm sure we could answer collaboratively.
Yeah, great. So thanks everybody. So here's my question: is the Casita Coalition gets its own web platform up and ready to be helpful on a statewide basis. Of the tools that you created, the inspiration guide, the workbook, and the calculator, what do you think's been the most helpful, the most useful? And what would the Casita Coalition add to the sort of universe that's emerging that would be the most helpful to the most number of folks at that larger state level, based on your experience in San Mateo?
Sure. Thank you, Denise, for that question. So I think that what we've seen is that the different resources that San Mateo County have help different groups of homeowners a little bit differently. We have seen that the ADU calculator has been one of the main drivers of traffic to our second unit website and continues to be quite popular and can be a useful resource because a lot of homeowners may have somewhat fuzzy information off the bat about sort of what are typical costs for an ADU. So they may not know whether an offer they're seeing from a builder is competitive or not competitive. And also if they can actually go through the math and see how much they can use income from an ADU to repay the upfront cost, then the upfront cost may be less intimidating. For the idea book, that's mostly used as a way to sort of pitch the idea of ADUs to people who may not necessarily be very interested in ADUs right now. It's a 32-page, very picture glossy book, which sort of tries to tell a few first-person stories about ADUs, get people interested in them. The workbook is close to 100 pages. It's a much more in-depth kind of guide of sort of how to. So if we were doing an event specifically about ADUs where everyone at the event was already interested in it, then that workbook becomes more helpful. Another thing I've recently seen, I think that the Napa Sonoma ADU website has rolled out is a address lookup tool, kind of similar to Symbiom's, sort of talking about where you can build an ADU. I think in terms of what the Casita Coalition can do, I think that sort of that first, I'm interested in ADUs, but I don't know what to do, homeowners would be the sort of the prime audience perhaps for some of the informational efforts that it does, because some of the more in-depth follow-up in terms of like local building restrictions, in terms of finding that kind of thing, may be best handled at a local level. And then maybe also helping to find an idea of what the builders are who are out there who build ADUs can be useful, because that's one of the things that we get questions about a lot in our office. It's like, can you refer us to an architect or a contractor? And we're a government agency, so we can't really do that.
Thank you. That's super helpful.
Yeah, great. And I think for this last question, it's posed to both of you. If folks here participated in our first webinar, we had Colin Clark, who is the chair of our HOA working group, and trying to just better understand how HOAs are an obstacle to ADU creation. Let me see if I could find him here. And Colin, I went ahead and given you permission to unmute yourself if you want to go ahead and ask your question.
Thanks, I appreciate it. So I was just curious to what extent each of you have had experience with HOAs in, you know, the respective areas that you work, and to what extent has there been, you know, a different design review process in different HOAs, or in general, what was the process like?
You want to start, Lynn? Or?
Sure. My answer is going to be short, which is that we haven't had experience yet working with projects that are covered by HOAs, because we're just getting started here. One of our pilot jurisdictions does have certain neighborhoods have quite a lot of HOAs that are active, and it's been interesting to see the chatter. So I think the state law changes that went into effect on January 1st haven't necessarily made their way into, like, the broader base of knowledge for regular homeowners or even folks who are associated with HOAs. So I actually think that one of our pilot jurisdictions is interested in how the one-stop shop can actually help get the word out there in the community that your HOA may no longer be the barrier that it was in the past. And educating homeowners who are interested in ADUs, but may have assumed that it wasn't an option to them because of their HOA, like really getting the word out to them. So I definitely don't have any experience so far working on projects with HOAs, but we're definitely keeping our eye on what that's going to look like moving forward.
Yeah, I have a project right now with this situation. Luckily, one of our webinars talk about that, and I I learned how to improve the process. But what I did in the city of Santa Ana, North Tustin, precisely, I can show the picture. There's can you see that? There's a shed in the back, and the customer wants to remove the shed and add an ADU. And like this. And what I did, you have to fill all the information, this paperwork, explaining the details on the project. And what I did, I designed the existing shed, and this is the existing shed, and this is the ADU that will be on top of it. So explain exactly what you're gonna do with more details. You can, and also send the whole project in a letter, and I'm just ready to send it. So unfortunately I don't have the answer, but as I said in the beginning of the presentation, the more information you provide and more friendly you are, I think it helped to I'm not mentioning any AB 570 new amendment. I want to try to be friendly and show that there's existing structure. I want to replace for a bigger one, and see what happens. But that's the experience I have so far.
Great. All right. Thank you both so much for your time this afternoon on a Friday, end of the day. It's really great to have your expertise, both in Northern California Bay Area and Southern California, as I can't remember which of you said it, but it really helps to have that expertise. And I can't wait to see Hello Housing launch this forward. It's really exciting. I can't believe all the things that you're doing. It's really amazing. And Rafael, it's really great what you're doing in Orange County. Again, lending your knowledge to homeowners that want to be part of the solution. So again, thank you both for your time. Sorry we went a little over time, everyone, but thank you for participating today. Please, again, visit casitacoalition.org if you haven't done so. And please tune in. The last thing I'll say is to the webinar next Friday. We are going to have actually our board member, Jared, I'm sorry if I'm saying your last name incorrectly, Bassler, San Diego ADU Coalition, and Layla Jamani, sorry, I butchered your last name as well, from Symbium, who we've heard a lot about. So it'll be great to just dive into those two topics. Thank you again to our speakers. Thank you all for participating in the Casita Coalition. Have a great rest of your afternoon.